was reaching for the discounted bread when I heard a familiar voice behind me. Mrs. Thompson? Oh my God, is that really you? It was Jake, my former student from 15 years ago. His face immediately filled with pity as he looked at my simple clothes and modest shopping cart. Don't worry about paying, he whispered, I've got this. What he didn't know was that the struggling retiree he was trying to help had just written a $50,000 check that morning. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe, and please tell us which city you're watching from and whether you faced a similar situation to my situation in the comments below. My name is Dorothy Thompson. I'm 68 years old, and I live in San Diego, California. Today, I was doing my weekly grocery shopping at the local supermarket, just like I do every Saturday. In my simple jeans, white blouse, and comfortable shoes, I looked like a typical retired teacher. And in many ways, I was. I had taught elementary school for 35 years. I taught thousands of children how to read and write, given them life lessons, and patiently watched them grow. When I retired, I chose to maintain the same modest lifestyle I'd always had. Dressing simply, living in a modest home, being careful with my shopping, these were part of my character. But there was something Jake didn't know. Throughout my teaching years, I had invested 30% of every paycheck. My husband Richard and I had carefully built a small fortune through cautious, long-term investments. After Richard passed away 5 years ago, I was still deciding how to use this wealth. That Saturday morning, I had only put what I needed in my cart: some fruit, vegetables, milk, and that discounted bread. When Jake saw me, the small size of my cart and my careful shopping style gave him the wrong impression. Mrs. Thompson, it's so wonderful to see you here, he said, but there was pity in his voice. How are you? How's retirement treating you? I'm fine, Jake, thank you. How are you? I haven't seen you in so long. I had taught Jake in 3rd grade 15 years ago. Back then, he was a shy, quiet child. He struggled with math and didn't get much support from his family. I had given him special attention, convinced him to stay after class, and patiently helped him develop his math skills. I'm doing great, actually, he said proudly. I'm a project manager at a software company now. Do you remember how I used to struggle with math? I got to where I am today because of you. I smiled. Of course I remember. You worked so hard during that period. I'm proud of you. Then his eyes drifted to my cart. He saw the modest items inside, the coupons in my hand. His expression changed. Mrs. Thompson, he said, lowering his voice. I hope you don't mind me asking, but is your retirement pension enough? I mean, I know teachers' retirement benefits are really low. I manage, I said simply. Jake frowned. Please put your pride aside. You changed my life. At least let me handle your groceries. I opened my mouth to correct the situation, but then I stopped. I saw the genuine concern on Jake's face. He really wanted to help. And at that moment, I realized I had an opportunity to teach him one final lesson. That's very kind of you, Jake, I said. But it's really not necessary. No, I insist. Please. I can never repay what I owe you, but can I at least do this small thing? I looked around. A few people were listening to our conversation. Jake's voice had gotten a bit louder. He was emotional. Okay, I said finally. Thank you very much. Jake's face lit up. Great. And please, if you need anything else, don't hesitate. Maybe you could get a few extra things? Some meat, fish, a few luxury items. I smiled. No, Jake, this is enough. As we walked toward the checkout, Jake came with me. He called to the cashier. I'll be paying for this lady's groceries. The young cashier smiled. Sure, sir. Jake pulled out his credit card. The total for my items was $47.50. Jake proudly paid it. Thank you, Jake, I said. This is a very kind gesture. You're welcome, Mrs. Thompson. I wish I could do more. I took my bags and walked toward the exit. Jake came with me. Where's your car? He asked. Let me help you carry these. Over there, I said, pointing to my black Jeep Wrangler. Jake's steps slowed. His eyes moved over the vehicle. Is this yours? Yes, I said, taking out my keys. Jake's mouth hung open. But. I thought I was helping you. I smiled and put my bags in the back of the Jeep. Jake, you did help me, but not financially. I don't understand. Look, Jake, I said, turning to face him. I taught for 35 years. The most important thing I learned during that time was that people tend to judge based on appearances. You saw me today and what did you see? A plainly dressed, elderly woman with a small cart, using coupons. And you immediately assumed I was struggling financially. Jake blushed. I was just, I mean, you're a kind-hearted person, Jake. And that's a beautiful thing. But today I've given you my final lesson. Don't judge anyone based on appearances. I started the Jeep's engine. Jake was still standing there in amazement. So why? Why did you let me pay? Because you genuinely wanted to help. And the beauty of that intention was worth much more than the amount of money. Today you did me a $47.50 kindness. This morning I made a $50,000 donation to the local children's hospital. Both are equally valuable. Jake's eyes filled with tears. Mrs. Thompson, Jake, I said gently. You're still that beautiful-hearted child, but now you're even wiser. From now on, think twice before judging people based on their appearance, okay? He nodded slowly, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. Okay, Mrs. Thompson. And thank you, both for the lesson and for showing me that you still have things to teach me. But I wasn't done yet. I reached into my purse and pulled out a small business card, plain white, simple black text. Jake, I want you to have this. He took it with trembling hands and read aloud. The Thompson Foundation for Educational Excellence. His eyes widened as he looked back at me. After Richard passed, I established a foundation. We provide scholarships for children who struggle in school just like you did. Math tutoring, reading programs, after-school support. Everything I wish I could have given to more students during my teaching years. Jake stared at the card, then back at me. Mrs. Thompson, how big is this foundation? Last year, we helped 847 children across 3 school districts. This year, we're expanding to 5 districts. That $50,000 donation I mentioned, that was just this month's contribution to the Children's Hospital. The foundation donates 10 times that amount annually to educational programs. I watched as the full magnitude of what I was telling him sank in. This wasn't just about a retired teacher with a secret nest egg. This was about a woman who had turned a lifetime of modest living into a force for changing children's lives. You remember Tommy Rodriguez? I asked. The boy who sat behind you in class? He could barely read when he started 3rd grade. Jake nodded. Yeah, he was really struggling. The Thompson Foundation paid for his tutoring all through elementary and middle school. He graduated valedictorian last year and just started his sophomore year at Stanford on a full scholarship. I smiled. Your $47.50 today reminded me why I do this work. It reminded me that the desire to help others, regardless of our own circumstances, is what makes us human. Jake's hands were shaking now. All these years, all these children you've helped, and nobody knows? That's the point, Jake. Real generosity doesn't need an audience. Richard and I learned that lesson early in our marriage. We'd rather change lives quietly than get credit loudly. I started the Jeep's engine, but Jake stepped closer to the window. Mrs. Thompson, wait. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why me? Why did you choose today to reveal all this? You could have just corrected my assumption and moved on. I considered his question carefully. Because, Jake, you represent something beautiful that's becoming rare in this world. You saw someone you thought needed help, and without hesitation, you offered everything you could give. You didn't take a photo for social media. You didn't announce it to the store. You just quietly tried to help someone you cared about. Tears were streaming down his face now. But I was so condescending. I assumed. You assumed based on incomplete information, yes. But your heart was in the right place. That's what made you a special student 15 years ago, and it's what makes you a good man today. I reached through the window and squeezed his hand. The fact that you're questioning yourself right now? That's growth. That's wisdom. I handed him another card, this one with my personal phone number. I want you to consider something, Jake. The Thompson Foundation is always looking for volunteers. People who understand what it's like to struggle, who remember what it feels like to need help. You'd be perfect. He looked at the card through blurry eyes. You'd want me to help? After today. Especially after today. Because today you showed me that even when you make assumptions, your instinct is to help rather than judge. Imagine what you could do with better information and more resources. As I pulled away, I watched Jake in my rearview mirror. He stood there for a long time, looking at both cards, processing everything that had happened. I knew that look. I'd seen it on thousands of students' faces over the years, the moment when understanding clicks into place and changes everything.